June 10, 1941. Midnight, Bletchley Park. Rain hammers against the slate roof, a rhythmic staccato that blends with the low hum of machinery inside Hut 8. The air smells of ink, metal, and old paper, a scent that feels almost alive. You step inside and see them. Young men and women hunched over machines, hands trembling with anticipation, eyes wide under the flicker of oil lamps. The room is quiet, but every tick, click, and whirl carries a tension that presses against your chest. Alan Turing stands near the center, coat collar turned up against the chill, fingers brushing over the wooden frame of a new bomb. He doesn't speak, he doesn't need to. Around him, the machine groans and spins, brass gears catching the dim light, each revolution a heartbeat. A stack of intercepted Kriegsmarine messages lies on the table, strings of letters that might as well be alien runes. To anyone else, it's indecipherable. To Turing, it's a puzzle that whispers its own secrets. A sudden knock on the door. Someone arrived with the latest U-boat positions, encrypted, unreadable. The young typist hesitates, then feeds the paper into the bomb. The machine clatters like a mechanical beast, wires snapping into alignment, wheels spinning faster. Turing watches, pencil poised, eyes darting from machine to paper. Then a pause. A gear clicks into place. A solution emerges. The letters on the paper no longer a jumble but a map. Routes, coordinates, times. You can almost feel the pulse of the Atlantic as these numbers trace the U-boat convoys across the ocean. For the first time, the Allies have eyes where there should be only darkness. But the danger is immediate. Every solved message means lives, thousands of sailors on both sides. And the German captains, thousands of miles away, sailing blind, have no idea their secrets have been stolen. Turing leans back, almost smiling, knowing that tonight, the Atlantic will become a battlefield lit by invisible fire. Somewhere a convoy changes course. Depth charges will soon drop and crews will panic. But here, in the quiet, Bletchley Park is calm. The calm of those who hold the power to see the future and bend it. Then the first message of the night arrives, one that could change everything. But it's unlike the others. The encryption is tighter, faster, more complex. Even Turing pauses. Even he feels a flicker of doubt. The next morning, June 11, 1941. You can hear the foghorns across the river ooze, low, mournful, carrying over the damp fields surrounding Bletchley Park. Inside Hut 8, the atmosphere is tense. Turing and his team gather around the bomb, which now hums with the weight of dozens of intercepted Kriegsmarine messages. Every click and whir feels like a heartbeat, counting down to a confrontation that hasn't yet occurred. Lieutenant Commander Gordon Welchman leans over the machine, adjusting a set of rotors. "They're changing keys faster than yesterday," he mutters. You feel the anxiety in his words because every shift in German encryption could mean hours, maybe days, of lost intelligence. Outside, you can almost picture the U-boats slicing through the Atlantic night, confident that no one can touch them. They are ghosts of the ocean, invisible, unstoppable. But the bomb is relentless. It spins, ratchets, and tests every combination in a mechanical ballet. Turing crouches beside it, pencil scratching calculations onto a pad. A faint smile flickers across his face. He knows the Germans think their Enigma machines are unbreakable. They laugh at the idea that a few young mathematicians in a country house can undo years of planning, thousands of miles away. Then suddenly, a bell rings. A solution has been found. The room snaps to attention. Coordinates, times, convoy formations, all laid bare. Turing's eyes flick to the clock. The Atlantic convoy carrying vital supplies to Britain now sails into a trap they cannot see. You can almost feel the tension stretching across the ocean as Allied destroyers prepare to intercept. But there's no time for celebration. Another message slides in. This one is different. Turing frowns. The Germans have altered their encryption procedures, introducing new rotors, unpredictable plugboard settings. One misstep, one delay, and convoys could be rerouted into disaster. Every second counts. Outside, the wind presses against the windows like a silent observer. Inside, the team works as if time itself has slowed. each click and clatter of the bomb echoing like gunfire in an invisible war. And somewhere, far away, U-boat captains sail unknowingly toward the trap their own navy has hidden. Tonight, someone will witness an ambush that seems impossible, convoys changing course as if guided by unseen eyes. And in Bletchley Park, the quiet hum of the machines is the only sound of victory or of disaster waiting to strike. But just as the first reports of the intercepted U-boats arrive, Turing notices a pattern, one that could unravel everything they've built. June 12, 1941. The sun barely rises over Bletchley Park, casting long shadows across the manicured lawns. Inside Hut 8, the air is thick with the scent of grease and ink, and the low hum of the bombs fills every corner. Turing paces slowly, eyes fixed on the banks of wires and spinning rotors. Something is different today. The Germans are moving faster, encrypting with a precision that almost seems anticipatory. Lieutenant Peter Twin leans over a new set of intercepts. "They've adjusted the rotors again," he whispers, tension slicing through his voice. "You feel it too, the stakes have never been higher. Every message that passes through Bletchley Park could change the lives of sailors, pilots, and infantry hundreds of miles away. One mistake here, one delay, and entire convoys could vanish into the icy Atlantic." The bomb clicks and whirs, testing thousands of combinations, the metal teeth of its wheels biting into each attempt. And then a moment of silence. The machine halts, almost as if catching its breath. Turing steps forward, leans over the control panel, and a flicker of excitement crosses his face. The solution is there. The U-boats' positions, the exact timing of their rendezvous, the courses of every submarine in the convoy, all mapped out in a single sheet of paper. Outside, the Atlantic is calm, deceptively so. Ships glide through the fog, unaware that destroyers lie in wait, ready to unleash depth charges with surgical precision. You can almost feel the invisible lines Turing has drawn across the sea, like the hand of a god guiding the tides of war. For the Germans, the ocean is their kingdom. For the Allies, thanks to Bletchley Park, it is no longer safe. Yet there's a tension underlying the victory. Turing notices irregularities in the patterns, subtle deviations that hint the Germans may have begun to sense something is wrong. The team works faster now. Every heartbeat synchronized with the spinning of the rotors, every pencil scratch a battle in itself. Then news arrives from London. Convoys that should have vanished have altered course, avoiding disaster in a way that can only be explained by someone knowing their secrets. The Kriegsmarine has no idea that an invisible war is raging, that their U-boat fleets are sailing into traps they cannot see. And in that revelation lies both awe and fear. Because as one solution succeeds, another challenge appears, more complex than before, a cryptic message that may reveal the limits of their greatest invention. June 13, 1941. Hut 8 is quiet, almost eerily so, except for the ceaseless clicking of the bombs. Outside, rain streaks down the windows, turning the lawns into a blur of gray and green. Inside, Turing and his team hover over piles of intercepted messages, faces pale from sleepless nights and the relentless pressure of secrecy. Every solved message brings relief, but also the gnawing knowledge that a single mistake could cost thousands of lives. Turing studies the latest Enigma intercepts, tracing rotor patterns with meticulous precision. You can almost feel the intensity in the air, the hum of machinery, the scratch of pencil on paper, the soft exhalations of concentration. The Germans are clever. They've introduced irregular key changes, hopping to render the Allies blind. But Turing's mind moves faster than any machine. He sees patterns where others see chaos, connections where others see only randomness. Suddenly, a breakthrough. One of the bombs clicks into a perfect sequence, and the letters on the paper align, a convoy's complete route, timing, and even planned rendezvous with supply submarines. The team exchanges glances, almost too stunned to speak. You can almost hear the Atlantic in that moment, waves lapping against unsuspecting hulls, unaware that they're being tracked with the precision of a sniper's scope. Messages fly from Bletchley Park to the Admiralty. Destroyers reposition, convoys adjust course. Depth charges are ready. And somewhere hundreds of miles away, U-boat captains continue on their programmed paths, confident that the ocean hides them. They have no idea their secrets have been unmasked, that their every move is being watched in real time. Then Turing notices it, a subtle irregularity in the German cipher that wasn't there before. Could it be a trap? A new rotor setting? His heart quickens. He knows that the Germans are adapting, learning. And for the first time, the enormity of the stakes hits the entire team. They are not just breaking codes, they are holding the fate of the Atlantic War in their hands. A single misstep now could erase weeks of progress. One wrong calculation, one misread letter, and thousands of lives could vanish into the depths. Turing leans back, eyes narrowing as the bombs spin on relentlessly. Tonight, the line between victory and catastrophe feels thinner than ever. June 14, 1941. The North Atlantic. Fog coils over the waves like a living thing, swallowing the shapes of cargo ships and destroyers alike. You can almost feel the cold biting through wool uniforms, the salt spray stinging faces. On the bridge of HMS Leander, Captain James Stewart peers through binoculars, tension tightening every muscle. He doesn't know why his orders feel impossibly precise, how he knows the exact route to intercept a convoy he's never seen. Back at Bletchley Park, Turing watches the latest decoded messages appear from the bomb. Coordinates, timings, and formation details of the U-boat packs, all revealed with unerring clarity. You can almost hear the clock ticking, each second bringing the invisible war to life across thousands of miles. He leans forward, a pencil in hand, tracing the lines on the map as if by doing so he can control the ocean itself. In the murky Atlantic waters, the U-boats sail unknowingly into the trap. Submarines that once ruled the waves are now blind, silent shadows. And then it begins. The first depth charges explode with a shattering roar, water columns rising like monstrous fists against the fog. Panic erupts among crews. The sea churns with fire and smoke as sonar operators track contacts that shouldn't exist. You can almost feel the terror. Thousands of men realizing too late that they are no longer masters of the ocean. At Bletchley Park, a teleprinter clicks rapidly, sending updated instructions to Allied destroyers. Every new decoded message adjusts the hunt in real time. Turing and his team exchange tense, exhausted glances. The room is quiet, almost sacred, yet the hum of machinery feels like the heartbeat of a war being fought in shadows. The Germans will never know how close they were, or how thoroughly their secrets were betrayed by minds and machines hundreds of miles away. But then a warning arrives, a new batch of intercepts, far more complex than anything before. The Kriegsmarine has noticed anomalies, convoys behaving unpredictably, U-boats disappearing. Could they have realized someone is reading their codes? Turing, eyes narrow. This next challenge could either secure victory or plunge the Allies back into darkness. The war is now a game of shadows, and every move matters. And tonight, the invisible war of Bletchley Park is about to become even more dangerous. June 15, 1941. Hut 8. Dawn creeps through the tall windows, dust motes floating in the beams of pale sunlight, but inside the room there is no rest. The bombs spin endlessly, gears grinding in a relentless rhythm, as Turing and his team race against a German Navy that seems to anticipate every move. Sweat drips down foreheads, hands stained with ink, yet no one dares slow down. Every second wasted could mean another convoy sailing blindly into danger or being lost to the depths. Turing leans over a new set of intercepts. His eyes dart across lines of letters, plugboard settings, rotor positions. You can almost feel the electricity in the room, a mix of fear, exhilaration, and the weight of responsibility. "If we get this wrong," whispers Joan Clark, her fingers flying over calculations, "they'll be gone before we even know where to strike." Every member of the team knows the stakes. The Atlantic is no longer a vast, unknowable expanse. It's a chessboard, and they are the unseen hand-moving pieces that can mean life or death. Outside, Allied destroyers follow the latest instructions from Bletchley Park. Convoys change course with uncanny precision. Depth charges plunge into the water, sending geysers of spray and foam, U-boats shuddering beneath the surface as panic spreads through the cramped submarines. The Germans, confident in their Enigma codes, have no idea that every move has been anticipated. You can almost hear the shock in their silence, the invisible hand of the Allies guiding the war in ways they never imagined. But the Germans are learning too. Messages arrive encrypted in new, unpredictable patterns, the Enigma rotors set in ways never before seen. The team pauses, hearts racing, knowing that a single miscalculation could erase weeks of progress. Turing's mind races faster than the machine. Patterns emerge, then vanish, leaving only shadows of logic. Every click of the bomb feels like a gunshot, every solved message a skirmish one in a war fought without bullets. And then a breakthrough. Turing finds a flaw, a repeat in the German procedure, tiny but exploitable. A route emerges, clear and dangerous, leading entire U-boat fleets straight into the waiting arms of Allied destroyers. The team exchanges a tense glance, awe, fear, and grim satisfaction all mingling in the same moment. They have done the impossible again, bending an ocean of chaos into a precise, lethal pattern. But even as relief begins to ripple through WWII, a question lingers. How long before the Germans adapt again? How long before the invisible war becomes a desperate race that could consume them? 16th, 1941. Midnight again at Bletchley Park. The lamps flicker over rows of exhausted faces, pale and tense, eyes glued to rotating wheels and teletype outputs. Outside, the rain has returned, tapping against the windows like the ticking of a clock counting down to some unseen reckoning. The room feels both sacred and haunted. Every solved message carries life or death thousands of miles away, yet the Germans remain oblivious. Turing sits quietly, hands folded, staring at a sheet of decrypted text. Convoys have shifted, U-boats ambushed, and yet there is no cheering, no relief. Only the hum of machinery, the soft clatter of pencils, and the weight of knowing they've altered the course of the Atlantic War without anyone ever realizing it. You can almost feel the invisible tension, the tightrope they walk between victory and catastrophe. A teleprinter rattles, signaling a new batch of messages. Turing leans over, tracing the letters with his finger. The Germans have tightened their cipher again, introducing new plugboard combinations and rotor orders designed to break Allied understanding. But patterns emerge slowly, stubbornly, a repeat here, a flaw there. Every discovery feels like lifting a veil, revealing movement in a vast, shadowed ocean. Outside the Atlantic, the effects of their work ripple silently. Allied destroyers find U-boats waiting where none were expected. Depth charges explode, shattering the night, crews screaming and shouting, unaware that their deaths were nearly sealed, only avoided because of mines hundreds of miles away. And somewhere on the U-boat bridge, a captain scribbles coordinates, puzzled that his convoy seems cursed, moving as if guided by unseen hands. Back in WWII, the team works in near silence, the weight of secrecy heavy on every shoulder. Victory here is invisible. They will never be hailed in public, never have their names on banners. Yet in every solved message, in every convoy saved, there is the quiet triumph of intellect and perseverance. And still, the Germans adapt. Turing frowns as he examines the latest intercept. A subtle shift, a hidden pattern the next challenge waits. Because the war is not just fought with guns and ships. It is fought with silence, patience, and the courage to see the invisible. And tonight, that courage will be tested again. June 17, 1941. The Atlantic is a gray, merciless expanse, waves pounding against hulls as if testing the resolve of those aboard. You can almost hear the roar of the sea mixing with the distant rattle of depth charges, explosions echoing like thunder across the dark waters. Somewhere beneath the surface, U-boats shudder and twist, captains shouting orders into cramped, flooding compartments, none aware that every maneuver has already been anticipated. Back at Bletchley Park, WWII is a storm of motion. Turing leans over the bomb as it spins relentlessly, the room alive with the mechanical heartbeat of war. Joan Clark and Hugh Alexander work feverishly, comparing decrypted messages, tracing patterns, trying to stay ahead of a cunning enemy. Sweat glistens on brows, sleeves are rolled up, pencils blur over paper. Every solved cipher is a victory, every unsolved one, a potential disaster. And then it happens. A decrypted message reveals a massive U-boat formation converging on a convoy critical to sustaining Britain's war effort. The coordinates are precise, the timing exact. Turing's hands tremble slightly, not from fear, but from the enormity of what he holds. They are about to direct the course of hundreds of lives with nothing but intellect, calculation, and intuition. Orders are sent to the Admiralty. Destroyers adjust their headings, convoys shift course, and air patrols move into position. The U-boats sail into a trap so perfectly laid that it seems almost unreal. You can almost feel the suspense hanging over the Atlantic, a quiet, tense anticipation before the storm. Then in the darkness, depth charges explode in rapid succession, water erupting into monstrous columns, metal groaning, sonar echoes bouncing across the waves. The invisible war has reached its apex. The Kriegsmarine, confident in the secrecy of Enigma, is blindsided. U-boat captains are forced to retreat, their fleets fractured, their confidence shaken. And far away in the quiet of Bletchley Park, Turing and his team allow themselves a momentary breath. A success, yes, but also a stark reminder. The enemy will adapt, the codes will evolve, and the work is far from done. Because in the shadows, the real war is not fought with guns or bombs. It is fought with logic, intuition, and the relentless pursuit of secrets. And tonight, one quiet codebreaker has changed the tide of the Atlantic forever. But the battle of wits is only beginning. June 18, 1941. HUD 8 is dimly lit, the lamps casting long, twitching shadows over faces etched with exhaustion. The room smells of ink, metal, and faint cigarette smoke. Outside, the wind rattles the windows, a reminder of the world beyond these walls, a world at war that will never know what happens here. You can almost feel the tension pressing down, the weight of invisible lives hanging in balance. Turing leans over the latest set of intercepts, eyes narrowing as he traces rotor settings, cipher repeats, subtle patterns in the Germans' procedural errors. Joan Clark stands beside him, pointing out a minor anomaly in a message. "If we're right," she says quietly, "this convoy could sail straight into another ambush." Every word feels heavy, loaded with responsibility. You can almost hear the distant Atlantic in that room, the waves lapping, the hulls creaking, men shouting in confined, underwater darkness. The team moves almost mechanically, synchronized with the relentless spin of the bombs. Every solved code is both triumph and burden. Turing knows the Germans may adapt at any moment. The smallest miscalculation could erase weeks of painstaking work. Yet the thrill of discovery is undeniable, a rush that cuts through the exhaustion. You can almost feel the electricity of intellect, the hum of machines that bend reality itself. Then a message arrives unlike any before, a new encryption method, subtler, more cunning. Even Turing hesitates for a moment, eyes darting over letters as if they were alive, shifting under his gaze. He understands the stakes. This could be the turning point in the invisible war, the moment when the advantage slips from their hands. Outside, U-boat captains remain blissfully unaware that their entire fleet's movements have been read, anticipated, and countered. Depth charges are ready, convoys have shifted, and the Atlantic is alive with danger, all because a handful of minds in a quiet country house have dared to see what no one else can. But in that brilliance lies a solitude few can comprehend. Turing's genius carries both salvation and burden. Every night, every solved cipher, every convoy's altered fate reminds him. This invisible war is relentless, and it will never forgive mistakes. And tonight, as the bombs grind on, Turing realizes something chilling. The Germans are learning, adapting faster than ever, and the next ambush may demand even more than sheer intellect to survive. June 19, 1941. The Atlantic is cloaked in fog, the sea a gray expanse that stretches to the horizon. You can almost feel the cold wind whipping across the deck of a convoy, sailors clutching railings as waves slam into steel. And somewhere beneath the surface, U-boats twist and shudder, unaware that their every move has been anticipated, measured, and countered by minds hundreds of miles away. Back at Bletchley Park, HUD-8 is alive with quiet triumph. Turing leans over a solved message, tracing the coordinates of a convoy's safe passage. Joan Clark and Hugh Alexander cross-reference it with the latest reports. Every calculation, every deduction, every turn of the bomb's rotors has shifted the war in the Atlantic. You can almost hear the Atlantic itself breathing a sigh of relief, unseen, unthanked, but changed forever. Reports arrive from the Admiralty. The U-boats have been intercepted, fleets broken apart, critical supplies diverted from danger. Captains aboard the submarines are confused, furious, their confidence shaken. They have no idea their secrets have been stolen, their carefully planned attacks anticipated. For the first time, the invisible war has been decisively won, and yet, outside Bletchley Park, no one cheers. The triumph is silent, unseen, almost sacred. Turing sits back, rubbing his temples. Relief mixes with exhaustion, but there is no time for celebration. The Germans will adapt, encryption will evolve, and the battle of wits is far from over. But tonight, the Allies hold a power that was once thought impossible, the ability to see through the chaos of war, to bend the ocean itself to their will. You can almost feel the magnitude of it. One quiet codebreaker, a handful of brilliant minds, and a machine of wires and gears, changing the fate of thousands of men on the ocean. It is a victory that no medal can honor, no history book can fully capture. And yet, in that quiet room, amidst the hum of the bombs and the flicker of lamps, the war has been changed forever. For the Germans, the Atlantic will never be the same. For Turing and his team, the real battle has just begun.